Yes, it's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, Roy. I had that queued up.
Who's this guy?
Back it up. Well, welcome to tonight's program. This is the Cow Report coming to you live from the beautiful former tire factory. And of course, I'm your host, Chuck Lee, and with me as always is my rusty, trusty sidekick, Fred the Truth Stafford. Welcome to the program tonight on this beautiful May evening, Fred.
What the heck is that you got on your head there?
Well, Fred, I went to the dentist the other day and he told me I needed glasses to read the paper with, and when you're reading the Leader Telegram, you really need some good thick glasses. So after I got done at the dentist,
It looks like toilet paper.
after I got to the dentist, he gave me these prescription glasses to read the Leader Telegram. And you know, Fred, the first thing I read,
Dentist did, huh?
yeah, the first thing I read is cross burned in minority area. And you know, you don't have to tap your mic, Fred. You know, crosses being burned in the Eau Claire area, Fred. That's something new. But I remember a few years ago, I went down and videotaped somebody that had knocked over a bunch of gravestones in the at a cemetery here in town, and they'd painted swastikas all over the place, but nobody from the media seemed very much interested in it at that time. But anyway, Fred, we're going to take calls, and keep your fingers off the mic, Fred.
Not.
I can hear you just fine. If they can't hear you, they'll let us know. Okay. Now the deal is, Freddie boy, is that some of your buddies been burning crosses up on the north side of town, and I want them to call in tonight and let us know who's doing it and telling us why they're doing it. And if you know who it is, Fred, go ahead and confess now.
I don't know.
You sure you aren't part of that group here?
You bet I'm not.
Sergeant Carl Fisher of the Police Detective Division says that there's a loosely knit group of local people with white supremacist views. If they ain't a load of malarkey, I don't know what is. I want that detective to come down here and prove it, that there's a loose-knit bunch of Nazis running around Eau Claire, Fred.
Yeah.
We'd have had more action in this by now if there was.
Yeah.
So I want them to prove it. Either that or just blowing smoke and trying to get people all worked up and get some racial tension going. We got the summer coming up here. We're going to have gang problems the way it is. Now the police are adding gas to the fire by talking about loosely knit Nazis running around, Fred.
Yes.
So we need to get some information. So the people that did it, we want you to call up tonight and confess on the air. And you don't have to worry about the phone being bugged or anything, because if you want to call us up and tell us why you did it, I'm sure you can get it all in within a minute, and then you can hang up. But we'd like to know what your thoughts were on burning a cross with a swastika and a lightning bolt welded to it, Fred. Now that sounds like somebody with welding experience did that.
Is that right?
Yeah. Sounds like they built some elaborate metal frame here. And then, you know, the Leader Telegram, they get their kerosene out and they pour gas on the fire. And then they write an article on the second page about cross burning rooted in hate aims to scare, professor says. So they go into a whole history about burning crosses back in the 1880s, 60s and stuff. Now, it's just a bunch of malarkey, Fred. It's probably two kids that had one too many cans of beer with nothing to do after they got done skipping North High School. Because you know you got about 40% truancy up there.
Yes.
They're probably out there using their dad's welder, and they welded something together and went down there and lit themselves up a cross. But I don't think a sergeant in the detective division of the Eau Claire Police Department should be throwing gas on the fire by saying stupid remarks like that. Because there is no such thing as a loosely knit group of local people with white supremacist views, Fred. I've been around this area for 10 years, and we talk about conservative and right-wing issues on here, and we'd have known by now if there was Nazis and Klan here in town. Wouldn't you think, Fred?
Yes.
Somebody would have tried to contact either one of us by now?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Freddie boy. I know you got an announcement there. What's this about a parade coming up?
Well, that parade is on the 27th of May, which is Memorial Day, and it's going from Barstow Street, Owen Park, and it's over to Wilson Park to Owen Park.
All right, Wilson Park to Owen Park.
Right, and that's 9 o'clock. We're going to assemble, and parade is going to kick off at 9:30 sharp.
So that's your annual
Annual Memorial Day parade.
starts at Wilson Park. You march down what street?
No, we march down Barstow Street.
March north on Barstow. You take a left on Lake Street, cross the Eau Claire River or the Chippewa River, turn left and go into Owen Park.
Yes.
And then you're buying hot dogs for everybody. Is that the deal?
No.
All right. Okay. I just want to
I
check.
thought you were buying them.
I don't even know if I'll be there. Okay, Freddie. Another announcement here before we take this mysterious phone call. See that their phone number there is 839-6261 if you want to call in and let the truth be known as to who lit up that cross, and if it's one of Fred's friends, we want you to confess
No,
your sins.
not my friends.
And below that phone number is my email address, and I've been getting all kinds of messages on there, Fred. People want to know why I don't do this and that on the show, and I've got one of the letters. Somebody was worried about you, Freddie, and I got
Yes.
this email letter just a couple days ago, and they wanted to know how Freddie was doing, and here it is. And it's from a student, UW Eau Claire. Her first name is Jessica. We won't go into her last name. She says, "Hi there. I haven't seen the show in a while, and I wondered if you found Fred yet. Let me know."
Yes,
And that was dated May 2nd, Fred. So
yes,
she said she's going to tune in tonight to see if you'd been found.
yes.
So where were you anyway?
I was home. I was at a dinner. I went to a dinner that night.
You know, there's rumors that you were down there along the Eau Claire River in
No,
that cave down there.
no way.
All right. Okay. So we got a mystery guest on the phone tonight. Her first name starts with Lorraine and her last name starts with Lee. And she's going to be with us for about 5 minutes. And she's going to tell us all about this arena, Fred.
She is.
And about all the taxes that are going to be raised and how this is just going to pull all kinds of millions of dollars worth of new money into the city and new taxes and everything of that nature and of that sort. But before we get to Lorraine, Fred, and she's eagerly waiting on the other end there, we made a statement on the show 2 weeks ago about Mays Floral and Larry Wright, who's on the city council, and
Yes.
some outstanding loans. And what the finance department of the city of Eau Claire tells me is that he originally had $230,000 worth of city loans, and that he's paid them down to $127,600 and some dollars. So he's paid it down about half, Fred, little.
Yes.
And those loans are current as of May, so that's a far cry from $1 million. So I don't know where we got that $1 million figure, but that's the one that seemed to float around back when he was asking for
Yes.
these other loans. And so if anyone can correct that there, we'd be glad to hear from that. But at the present time, his loans are up to date, and hopefully that's not a conflict of interest being on the city council and having a couple of city loans outstanding. All right. Well, Freddie, since you're here tonight, we thought we'd ask you.
I was here 2 weeks ago, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. Well, since you're here tonight, though, Fred,
Yes.
as opposed to 2 weeks ago, we wanted to know something from you, Fred. And we always ask you to see if we can stump you. What happened on this date in history? And so, to really fool you, we're going to ask you what happened tomorrow on this date in history.
Yes.
1945, the end of World War II, May 7th. Who surrenders?
Well, we didn't surrender. It was Hitler that surrendered.
That's right, 1945.
Germans. The
Germans surrendered tomorrow on this date,
Yes.
51 years ago. And many of you in your 70s and 80s will recall that quite plainly. The devastation and the millions upon millions of civilians and loved ones that were killed, maimed, and missing. There's some still missing from that war, Fred.
Yes.
There's Americans still missing over there. 51 years, and if they were missing at the age 20, some of them might still be alive in some of them Siberian coal mines.
I don't think they live yet.
Okay, well, we got static on the line there, and you always get a lot of static when you talk to Lorraine Lee. So without further ado, are you still there, Lorraine? Hello,
Hello?
Lorraine Lee.
Yes.
Now, what's the deal about this here doggone arena downtown? What's this about all this new tax money it's going to generate, and letters to the editor, and some guy wrote a letter to the editor yesterday in Leader Telegram, and he was so embarrassed he didn't even sign it.
I don't know who wrote that in the paper. I didn't know that you could submit anything without signing your name, but I am not in favor of this arena. I don't believe it can be done without tax money, and I know how it works when they call it property tax relief. I'm sure this fall you're going to see a county sales tax. And if you read the Wisconsin stats, you will see that any entity of government can come in and request their share. I'm sure they don't all get whatever they want, but there's a request there, and the city being, 65% of the county or whatever. I was told once by Don Norrell that the only way that could ever come about is with the county sales tax, so I'm looking forward to seeing it spent that way, and with the Huber Center to build and the fairgrounds, and that's going to need extra attention, and that's one way of giving it to them, and all the things that they say we need the money for, they put it in the budget, and that's how they can call it tax relief, because they can't pay it, and they put in a city or a county sales tax. I know the city had been lobbying, trying to get a city sales tax, but that, of course, isn't quite legal, I don't think. I suppose there's ways to get it, but...
Okay, well then...
it upsets to me when they say that it's not going to take any tax money. There's no way they can do it without it. If I have it right, where they're going to put the arena, it looks to me like they're probably going to have to take out the post office and rebuild it, and all the property they'll have to buy up, and the street repair will be humongous.
Well, Lorraine, you know, they've already got, they're already doing some exploration for some new acreage for a post office, so that's already on the back burner. The Postal Service is looking for a new building, and they're looking to either lease a building already built, or they're looking for several acres to build a new building on, so they're going to wipe that out, but the local post office didn't pay any tax anyway. This arena's not going to pay 1 penny of taxes when it's built, because it'll be pseudo-government agency, won't it?
Well, what surprises me is whoever wrote this letter in the paper, in the Voice of People, comes about saying that the users are going to be paying for it. Well, that's what we heard on the State Theater, too. And they have a loan with the city, and I do not think they've paid anything back on it whatsoever. It was a 10-year loan. That's come and gone. I don't know. They probably extended it or written it off by now. But it isn't going to fly here. We have not got what we need for an arena. Sure, there might be a couple of things come through so they can make it sound good, but this thing about the tax rate and everything else that was 9% for those business people, up to 80%, this is a thing that was written in the paper. So we've been financing those people downtown all along, and I just can't believe that they're going to be so happy to pay more taxes if we'll give them the arena.
Okay, Lorraine, well, we want to thank you for tuning in tonight, and it's calling in tonight. It's about 9:15, and we got to start taking some phone calls and stuff, but we're going to keep this arena in mind here, and I know that it's going to be controversial, and of course, once the ringleaders of this little Ponzi scheme are exposed to the public, then maybe they'll be scorned into going back and crawling underneath their rocks and coming up with something better to do than waste the taxpayers' money with $20-30 million arenas that will never pay for themselves.
20 or 30 million?
Well, it'll be closer to 30 by the time they get it all done and put in their cronies to run it.
Well, I know some people told me my figures were even more conservative than I who wrote it, but I do know it's going to be costly, and I do know that it's going to cost the taxpayers money.
Well, that's par for the course in Eau Claire. You know, Eau Claire is rated as one of the poorest counties in the state, and then people wonder why all of a sudden we're getting jobs in here. It's because the word's out. Eau Claire pays $5-6 an hour, so come on in and get some of that cheap labor before it's gone. That's what the deal is.
Well,
But you can't build arenas on $5 and $6 an hour, Lorraine.
well, all I can say in answer to the questions that you've asked me is plain that I think it's going to be a playground for the college for one thing, like I said years ago when they were talking an arena, and
Of course, the college is only here for 9 months. The other 3 months, it'll be drastically in the red.
oh,
Because
sure.
besides that, them college students,
They told us that. They told us there's going to be a $600,000 deficit.
well, the college students, once they get tanked up, they don't have much money to spend on rock concerts anyway. I mean, they've got to they're going to have to make a choice between going to a concert every night, which they'd have to do, all 10,000 of them, or get drunk. And you know they're not going to give up their booze. So there you have it. Well, thanks a lot, Lorraine. Fred, you want to say anything?
Well, thank you there very much, Lorraine. We agree with you.
Okay, we'll get back to you again next time we're on, Lorraine, so keep up the good work. We understand you're still thinking about running for that seat, the 68th Assembly seat, so I wish you'd hurry up and make your announcement.
Oh, well, I'm all ready to do it.
All right.
Goodbye.
Okay. Okay, Fred, and you see that on the screen here, that cows@discover-net.net. That's my email address.
Yes.
And we get many email address messages, so it's CO. These are all small letters now. Don't be fooled by what that says on the screen. You got to type, if you're going to be sending me email through America Online or Eau Claire Freenet or CompuServe, you got to type small letters. So it'd be all that would be in small letters. COWS@discover-net.net. I don't know if that last T is on your screen at home. On my monitor, we're missing the last T. So what do you got there, Freddie?
We got from the RNC for Life report, that's Republican National Committee for Life. Ralph Reed issues warning to Dole as at a Garden Country rally in Clawson, Michigan. Ralph Reed and Pat Buchanan sternly warned Senator Bob Dole not to veer from his party opposition to abortion. Before about 1,000 people at the rally, Reed made clear what he expects from the Republicans in exchange for his support. If you want to retain the majority you won in '94, and if you want to add to it in '96, and you cannot and you should not, you must not retreat from the pro-life and pro-family stand that won you the majority in the first place. Reed said to a standing ovation when it came to protecting the tiny human beings done to death every day in abortion clinics in America. Buchanan said there can be no compromise.
Well, there you have it, Freddie.
That's the May June issue.
The gauntlet's been set. The Republicans know what they're up against if they go to that convention and start chopping away at that pro-life plank, that they're just asking for a major split and a definite loss, and maybe the loss of the House and the Senate. They're already going to lose the presidency because it pretty much appears like Dole can't win. The polls show Clinton ahead 20 points even with all the dastardly deeds he's done over the last 3 years, plus what he did down in Arkansas. That seems to be like water off his back. He just keeps treading. And as I said right here on this program, roughly April 20th, 1995, I made the statement that because of the Oklahoma City bombing, Bill Clinton would be back in this race. Back then he was in terrible shape, Fred. The polls showed him at some 30-some% popularity. I said at that time that this would turn his fortunes around. He would use that to his benefit to gain in the polls, and sure enough he has in the last year. And so, Fred, we want to remind people that this Sunday is Mother's Day. Be mindful of that. Send your mother a card wherever she may be. If she's in the cemetery, go visit her. And if she's far away, make a phone call or send her a card. Send the cards now so they get to her by Sunday. This Sunday's Mother's Day, Fred.
I see it's taking longer for mail to get through for some reason or other.
That's for sure. Well, we better take a call here, Freddie. First of all, before we take that call, we'll let you know that cows imported from England face slaughter, Fred.
Yes.
And we like to talk about cows here on the Cow Report. And there's a cow that came in from Wisconsin sometime before 1989, came into Wisconsin from England. And it's on the, they put it on death row, Fred.
Yes.
It's a Belgian blue cow, was used as an embryo donor. When slaughtered, its brainstem will be sent to the University USDA lab in Ames, Iowa. So they're going to slaughter a Wisconsin cow that came over from England because of the mad cow disease. And they're afraid that if they keep it alive, it might spread the disease to the Wisconsin herd. They'll have to wipe it out. Of course, you know, there are rumors that they're going to have to slaughter something like 10 or 15 million cows in England, which will temporarily probably lower the price of beef, but that's already happening in this country. But I don't know if they're even going to eat that meat over there in England. If it's contaminated, they'll probably have to just bury it all.
Well, I heard that some of the English are eating the beef because the English beef, because it has come down quite a bit in price.
You know, Fred, after Chernobyl 10 years ago, some of the beef and other meat that was slaughtered over there and canned was shipped down into Africa. And you put a Geiger counter on it, and the Geiger counter would go like that from the radiation in that reindeer meat or whatever it was. So it was buried in Africa, and the Africans just dug it up and opened up the cans and ate it. They didn't care if it was radiated or not. They were starving. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Chuck, man, what's with the outfit?
Hello?
Hi, Chuck.
Are you the guy that lit that cross up there?
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Too many gangs.
Are you from North High School?
No, sir. Memorial.
Oh.
What do you think about that?
Well, we're trying to get the culprit to call in and admit and tell us why they did it.
I don't know. Maybe it was a good thing.
See, the police have their theory. They say that it's a loosely knit group of white supremacists, which translates into pro-Nazi Ku Klux Klan types. But you know, you could say that about the professors at the university, Fred. You could say that's a loosely knit of left-wing radicals out there and tie them in with the Communist Party and go out there and shoot them all.
Well, it's not their fault. It's kind of the Hispanics and the Spigs and the Gooks and all those guys.
Well,
If it wasn't for them.
Well, somebody took the time to weld this concoction together, and it was let's see, the cross was 10 foot tall, and it was black cloth on it, and it was on fire. They found it at 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning. Welded onto the metal platform is a swastika and a lightning bolt, a symbol associated with a loosely knit group of local people with white supremacist views. Now that's ridiculous. The swastika is associated with the Nazis, Fred.
yes.
Wow. That's intense, I guess. I didn't know there's stuff like that going on in Eau Claire.
There's not. It's just one cop out there that had too much to drink on Saturday night.
Either that or Fred.
Well,
No.
I'm still trying to get it out of Fred what he was doing down there at that cave along the Eau Claire River
I wasn't
with a
down
case
there.
of Flavin Pop.
No.
All right. Well, what's your question tonight, caller?
Didn't really have a question, just wanted to be on TV.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for calling. All right, Freddie, so you're not admitting to being down there along the
No,
river
I wasn't down there.
for the salmon run. Okay, Freddie, here's the deal. We got that out of the way. Okay, I got another email message on there. It says, my email address really works, Fred. Tonight, at tonight's Eau Claire School Board meeting, Fred,
Yes.
the Eau Claire School Board voted for a motion to transfer up to $7,000 from the board's contingency fund to equip 2 new board members with computers to allow them email access effective immediately. So these 2 new board members got
Yes.
themselves $3,500 worth of computer
Yes.
equipment apiece. That's pretty nice, Fred. Get on the county board or the Eau Claire School Board and you get yourself a nice $3,500 computer outfit. What will they think of next? Of course, maybe they could do that for everybody, the way they like to throw money around.
Yes.
So I guess I got the report, somebody came in and told me, just before the show went on the air, that they voted in favor of that. So those 2 new board members get themselves $3,500 worth of computer equipment each. I'll tell you, that'll buy them a pretty snazzy little outfit, Freddie.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take another call here, Fred, but what do you got there about some kind of picketing or something?
I see there's a National Anti-Porn Picket Day set for May 18th. The American Family Association called for a picket on Saturday, May 18th of stores selling pornography. AFA encourages individuals, churches, and groups to organize a picket of local stores which sell or rent porn videos, magazines, or other pornographic material. AFA suggests that the picket be held from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on that day, but any time during the day is acceptable. And the place that has been chosen to be picketed is American Video at 335 Water Street.
What's that address?
That's American Video, 335 Water Street.
Now you say there's a picket in Eau Claire, Saturday, May 18th, from 10 a.m. to noon, to picket the rental of X-rated videos by American Video at 335 Water Street.
Right.
So they just show up there in front of that building there on Water Street at 10 o'clock on the 18th.
Yes.
And picket that. Well, you know, Fred, we've identified well over a dozen video outlets in the area and bookstores that push pornography in this area. And it seems to have spread out into the suburbs.
There was about 22 in and around Eau Claire.
So it's getting worse. Instead of people think that there's just 3 dirty bookstores downtown and they rent videos, but it's a lot worse than that. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was illegal to burn a cross.
I guess the paper said something about that they could be just fined for not having a burning permit.
Okay, well...
It's a misdemeanor. Whoever started the fire probably faces only minor penalties such as disorderly conduct, a misdemeanor, or illegal burning. A city ordinance violation, said Police Captain Rick Meyer. But you know, what if they found some communist propaganda books out at the university? Well, you think they should round up all those communist professors out there, and because they're a loosely knit group of local people with communist views?
No.
I mean, that Sergeant Carl Fisher's taking quite a dynamic leap there.
No. Another question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think of it maybe like a tri-county arena?
A what?
A tri-county where you get like Eau Claire, Chippewa, and Dunn County together and have like, or as like Mound somewhere, have like a tri-county arena. Would that work?
A tri-county arena. Where would you locate something like that?
Out there near 1229-94 interchange out there. There's some real large fields out there that are kind of like, you know, not much for farming.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, Menominee's quite a growing area too, with all the new industry coming in there.
It'd be on the interstate there and real close to 3 not so bad sized towns.
What would those 3 be? Chippewa, Eau Claire, and Menominee?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, something, yeah, you're talking Chippewa County, Eau Claire, and Dunn County then.
Right.
Yeah, they ought to look into something like that. They can spread around the deficit. But, yeah, you'd have to have it close enough to Menominee, which is 24 miles away, so you'd have to...
We're 12 miles from that, from talk. From talk, we're 94 and 12 together. It's actually only 10 miles to Menominee, 18 to Chippewa Falls, and 11 to Eau Claire.
Yeah.
So, close-knit, we could get there.
Well, if we can get these guys off of dead center downtown Eau Claire, they just seem to think that that's going to... See, what it is there's about 4 or 5 people that own businesses downtown that think if they pull in this arena that it's going to save their floundering businesses. But, you know, somebody was writing an article saying how great the Civic Center is doing down Eau Claire in downtown Eau Claire since it was turned over to Larson Properties from the city. Well, first of all, Larson got himself handed $1 million deal because the building was worth over $1 million, and he has an option to buy it for $100,000. So that puts $1 million in his pocket to start out with. The thing's built like a fortress, so it's going to last forever. But he's not mentioning what would happen to his Civic Center downtown if they put an 8,000-seat arena. If they do that, why would they want to go to the dinky little Civic Center or to the Regional Arts Center when they can go to an 8,000-seat arena, which will have to have an event each night so it has a $600,000 deficit. They got to run an event just about every other night there.
Yeah, well, I think 8,000 seats is also way too small.
So
Larger than that in order to attract anything as far as like country music, rock music, whatever for acts like that.
to run that thing 180 times a year, they got to run something every other night.
But-
And there's just not that many people that got that much dough making $5-6 an hour around here to go to something every other night.
It needs to be larger and placed somewhere other than in Eau Claire. It needs to be centrally located where the entire western Wisconsin can get involved in it as opposed to just down on Eau Claire.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, what we got to do is we got to find this loosely knit group of local people with these supremacist ideas to put the arena downtown. We got to flush them out and arrest them so we can expose who they are.
Okay, well, bye.
All right, well, thanks a lot there. Roy, we're getting some cutting out here on the phone tonight. I don't know what the deal is there. Of course, I'm talking to Roy Rogers Hoff, whose great-great-grandmother was related to the woman that sewed the flag during the Revolutionary War, Fred,
Is that right?
on her father's side. Okay, Freddie, what do you got there?
I have something here from Beverly LaHaye, Concerned Woman for America. AIDS, what they're not telling us. The influenza epidemic in 1980 killed 500,000 people in 1 year. But according to the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, in the last 14 years, only 5,000 cases of diagnosed AIDS have been reported. Of these, 310,000 have died. That leaves approximately 190,000 in the U.S. now living with AIDS. But as of December in 1995, the World Health Organization recorded slightly more than 1 million AIDS cases worldwide.
Huh. 1 million AIDS cases worldwide. We got 190,000 people in this country living with AIDS. Probably another 600,000 to 1 million that have the virus that don't know about it, walking around spreading it. But that's something, Freddie. Okay, there's a meeting coming up here, Fred, and it's got to do with where this is being broadcast from. And of course, we're coming to you live from beautiful Banbury Place in the PAC Studios. And this is May, what is this, Fred? May 6th, May 7th? May 6th, 1996. Coming up on May 9th, Thursday night, there's the Eau Claire County Board's Committee on Judiciary and Law Enforcement will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, May 9th at 6:30 in the county board room on the proposal to place Huber prisoners at Banbury Place. The committee welcomes both oral and written testimony. Well, Fred, the prison population is getting so big that they've got to find bigger quarters for those Huber prisoners. And Huber prisoners are the ones that go get out during the day to go to school
Yes.
or work, and then they sleep overnight. So they're pretty
Yes.
much like trustees. They're trusted in the community during the day. So we could get neighbors out here, some of the local people that are doing time for DWIs or whatever. Okay, Freddie, we better take another call here. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Jason calling. I was wondering, why are you ripping on all the college professors tonight?
Which ones?
All of them. You're calling them communists and stuff. I don't understand that. I'm a student at UWEC, and I mean, I feel that the professors have a heck of a lot more intelligence than you do. At least they don't wear toilet paper rolls on their eyes.
Well, who told you that?
Who told me that? I go to school there. I don't understand why you think they're all communists and why you think all college students are drunken fools. I mean, look at the guy sitting next to you. I mean, come on. You know, I mean, it looks like this guy's half in the bag right now, knocking on his microphone and stuff.
Fred?
Yeah, Fred.
Fred doesn't drink anything stronger than Flavin Pop. Isn't that right?
No.
All right. Okay, Fred, well, we got that out of the way. And what I was doing is, it's an allegory between, it's one of them things between the Eau Claire Police Department trying to spawn a Nazi swastika-laden supremacist group that's working evilly within the city. So I was just saying that possibly there's a group of communist professors that are trying to spawn all kinds of things. Pretty soon, Fred, they'll be burning crosses out on the university there in opposition to Christianity. See, we're just making these dialectic leaps here. The police department's made one, so I guess if they can, I can. All right, Freddie boy. We already went through that. Here's your brochure that for the ministers or anyone that's in the church that wants to be politically active during the upcoming primaries and general election November. From the pew to the precinct, political do's and don'ts for pastors and churches. It tells you all the things you can and can't do as a church or a minister. And if you'd like to get that, leave me a message at COWS, my email address on the air, or you can call public access number there, 839-6261, and they'll leave a message in my mailbox here, and we'll get one of these out to you so that you can stay within the law and protect that coveted 501c3. Okay, Freddie boy, what do you got there before we take our next call?
Clinton appointees push homosexuality. Homosexuals are now being trained to become agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. FBI Director Louis Freeh has adopted a new policy to admit more homosexuals into his bureau. And we also have, under Donna Shalala, the Department of Health and Human Services sponsored a multicultural day in Dallas where an employee was given official permission for his highlighting our gay and lesbian culture.
So how do you interpret all that?
Well, it looks like Clinton appointees, and he's appointed a number of them, are doing this, including Attorney General Janet Reno issued orders that the Department of Justice will recognize sexual orientation, homosexuality, when granting security clearances.
Well, it used to be they were afraid that homosexuals would be blackmailed, Fred. And that was the reason they had those laws.
Yeah, I know.
But you know, I heard on a shortwave radio station the other day, somebody was pointing out that then when they looked back at Janet Reno's high school yearbook, there was no Janet Reno in it. There was some man's name Reno. And they're juxtapositioning there that Janet used to be James. In other words, she used to be a man. Somewhere between high school and being the Attorney General, she got a sex change. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, I would just like to say that I wonder how you think that people will take you seriously when you wear toilet paper rolls on your eyes. I'm a high school student, and I know a lot of high school students that are a lot more mature than you are, that when they are going on TV, they can handle themselves a lot better than you guys can.
Hey, are you from North?
No, I'm not.
I hear you guys are running about 40% truancy up there.
Well, I don't know. I am in school every day that I'm not ill, so I don't know about that. All I can handle is myself.
Yeah? So why don't you like my glasses?
Well, I just think that you guys should show a little more respect for TV and respect for your audience. And
Oh, so when you see a comedian like, any comedian on TV, you think that they're showing respect for television, or what?
well, I think that when you're pushing one-sided views all the time, that maybe you should know more about the issues that you're talking about.
Fred, what have we been on now? 20, 25 years? If we don't know what's going on out there on TV land, nobody does. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's why we're on, because people trust us.
Well, I would really think that people would trust some guy wearing toilet paper rolls on his glasses. I mean,
If people didn't trust us, how come we got our own phone number right there? 839-6261.
anybody can get a show on public access.
They can.
Yep.
Well, let's see you try it. Fred, what's that button you got on there tonight?
It says, unborn babies are people too.
That's right. Fred, what do you think's going on up there north when they got close to 40% truancy? I used to be a truant officer for 3.5 years.
Well,
and when we got 5 and 6% where I was working, I worked in a regional school office that covered 8 counties. I traveled all over during the 9 months of the school year to those 8 counties. During my 3.5 years, I brought the truancy rate down, but we never had anything as obscene as 39% on truancy in any of those 8 counties.
Might be the curriculum is responsible for some of this.
And they're just skipping out and...
They're not, it's not interesting to the kids.
Yeah, but perhaps they need to have a little better security there at the school grounds if they got 39% of the kids slipping off and leaving the school. They need to start at the top there and have a shakedown and get some of them.
Some don't go to the school.
Well, they got 6 or 7 principals and assistants up there, and they're all fighting over who's going to play golf, and then they wonder why the students are playing hooky when they're not there. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air. Hello? What do you got there, Roy? Got a dead line. All right. Okay, we had a deadline there. All right, Freddie, I got something here of interest that we should be talking about. And you know what? Fred, remember when Ron Brown and his plane went down over there?
Yes.
In Bosnia?
Yes.
Here's something dated back on 4/7/96. It says U.S. government wrongdoing alert, priority urgent. Cadavers from the Ron Brown shoot-down have arrived at Dover Air Force Base, Delaware. All have chemical traces of thermite, a chemical used in bombs to blow safes and bunker doors. Also, the stewardess, who was alive on the ground, Shelley Kelly, was helped into the rescue helicopter with minor cuts and bruises. Now, she's the only one that survived. And on arrival at the hospital, she had bled to death from a neat 3-inch incision over the femoral artery. Necropsy shows that the wounds are 3 hours apart. Clinton has ordered all cadavers cremated, and others are trying to block the order. The plane was flying in dangerous combat theater and had onboard fuel for the landing at Dubrovnik and 2 extra approaches for safety reasons. The plane was still burning 8 hours after impact. So there you have it, Fred. It might have been a shoot down.
Yes.
I'll tell you, it's dangerous working for the Clinton administration. I mean,
Right.
people are dead all over the place.
Yes.
And you got to watch that Jocelyn Elders, too. Her son got nailed for cocaine pushing. The guy that testified against her, they found him dead in a doornail in his hotel room right after he testified. So I'll tell you, these guys play for keeps. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
I'm calling about your North truancy thing. Don't you think we need to examine some of the economic issues behind the North Memorial differences? North is a much poorer school, and Memorial is made up of better students.
So that justifies them skipping because they're poorer.
No, that has nothing to do with it. But what I'm saying is that the more their parents aren't as concerned about them as the students are at Memorial. And if you look at the Oakland School District's annual report, you'll see that basically every single test score at Memorial is higher. Now, does that have something to do with the intelligence, do you think?
So you're saying they're dumber at North, so they skip more. Is that the deal?
That could very well be. Dumb kids, yeah, that's nothing too earth-shaking, is it?
Well, I'll tell you, I worked in the 8 counties I worked in had rural, urban, and suburban school districts, and none of them were over 6-7% at tops. The 39% is obscene. That's Milwaukee-type figures. I mean, that probably even blows away with Milwaukee's figures.
But do you think having a bunch of rent-a-cops is going to stop kids from skipping? If they want to skip, they're going to skip. Whether you have
No, they aren't.
rent-a-cops, the rent-a-cop is going to stop them by saying you can't do that anymore?
That's right.
You really think so? I haven't been to a high school in a while, I guess, then, because...
No, once they catch them skipping, they give them detention. If they get...
God forbid a detention. I mean, it's a lunch detention for 45 minutes. That's going to keep them from skipping.
How about 2 hours after school on the second offense?
They don't do those anymore.
Maybe they ought to. Maybe they ought to get rid of the bums that are running things up there and get somebody in there that can do it right. All right. See, that's what happens, Fred, when you got a school board that's out of control with their spending and you got a superintendent that's more worried about going to play golf, and then you put in 5 or 6 principals, sub-principals, and counselors, They can't keep them in there. Need to wipe the whole slate clean, get people in there that are not afraid to stand up to the unions, and fight this thing up there and tell them you're either going to be in school or you're going to do detention. Quit pussyfooting around. All right, Freddie boy, what do you got there?
Dole inept without conviction, and this is from The Wanderer, a Catholic lay paper in St. Paul. Says Senator Dole, heralded as the master of Senate procedure, has repeatedly been surprised upstaged by the Democratic Senate minority in recent weeks. Even GOP senators have abandoned him and voted against him on key issues. Dole has tried to raise issues against President Clinton, such as Clinton's appointment of liberal judges who deal in a lenient way with violent criminals. When the media was quick to reply, Senator Dole voted to confirm all but 2 or 3 of Clinton's many nominees for judgeships.
Well, Fred, we know that of the 4 pro-abortion Supreme Court justices, Dole voted for every one of them.
Yes.
That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Kennedy, and the other 2 bums.
Souter and
Yeah.
what's his name? I can't think of the other one.
Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
I was talking about the Norris truancy or whatever. I think that if they skip more than a couple times in class, that their grades should be put down more, because right now they just can't do the work, but they should get punished grade-wise too.
Well, if there's no consequences for skipping, and you've got upwards of 4 out of every 10 students gone, you'd think that the teachers up there that are so into themselves might look around and say, gee, where's all my students?
Yeah.
And the principals would give up a couple of their golf days and see if they can round them up, because they're all supposedly scurrying around the parking lot or hanging around up on the north side somewhere. You got 40% of the school running around up there. You'd think the cops would get wise around town after a while.
Yeah, they just stand on the corner.
I mean, what's going on here? I mean, those are obscene figures there, and they need to shake up the administration up there. They got to quit fighting over how many vacation days and how big of a raise they're going to get, and get back to educating, and maybe the students will stick around. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the punishment should be a lot more, because right now nobody cares what happens if they get caught or if they get punished.
I think they ought to round them up, take them out in the parking lot, and make them force them to stand around a circle as they burn a cross.
Uh-huh.
Then we'll find out who did it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, caller. Well, Freddie, you know, there's a lot of people that got computers now. Something like
Yes.
40-50% of people at home and or at business have a computer. And a lot of them are getting on the internet. So here's one real good internet spot to be on during the political campaign, and that's called Politics USA. And their address is http://politicsusa.com. Of course, that should all be in small letters. http://politicsusa.com. And it'll tell you all about politics, and it's kind of for political junkies and for voters, and you can get all kinds of information, good information about the American political scene out there, especially with the presidential elections coming up. Okay, Freddie.
Yes.
We better take a call, and then we'll get into that other subject you got there. And didn't you have another announcement to make?
What?
Something about a birthday or something coming up?
A birthday?
Yeah.
Who?
You.
Me? I give up having birthdays.
All right, okay. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up?
That's what I'm asking you. You're the one calling.
Yeah, I got a question for Fred.
Yes.
I just want to know, what's your fascination with homosexuals?
I know that in the Bible, and I read the Bible, God has told men not to lie with one another, and also told women the same thing. And I accept that as being common sense.
Are you sure you're not trying to cover something up?
Absolutely not.
You and Chuck don't have anything going on?
Well, you can ask Chuck. I have nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about, Fred. Well, what's your question, caller?
Gentlemen, how's it going?
All right. Now, where are you at? Are you a student?
Am I a student? Yeah, I am.
University or high school?
University.
Did you graduate from North?
No, sir, I did not. I came from the nice, clean school district of Wausau, Wisconsin.
Wausau?
Yes, well, welcome to Eau Claire.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Thanks, I feel real welcome.
What's wrong with the college?
Crosses around here and stuff, and
The what is? Oh,
all these people burning crosses around here, pipe bombs going off. I mean, wow, this town is nutty, just silly, sick. I'm telling you guys, what the heck?
guess
I thought this town was supposed to be like one of the safest ones in the United States.
it is. This is just, it's all just an aberration. The Ides of March and all that stuff, and May Day, and once that's all out of everyone's system, we'll get down to normal. Of course, the weather is affecting a lot of people. Screwy too. And once this is all straightened out and we get some nice sunny days, everything will go back to normal.
It gets sunnier out. Those kids are going to be skipping even more.
Yeah, I know. Eau Claire is quite the unique place to live.
Yeah, definitely. One of my buddies graduated from North, and I know the type of person that you guys are talking about. You know, he was the one that always cut classes and hit bugs on lunch breaks, and well, he's a nutty, he's a silly kind of guy.
Okay, all right. Well, there you have it. There's another student from North, Fred. I'll tell you. I can see why.
He's from Wausau, he said.
Yeah, that's just an excuse. Say, Fred, we got to sell something here tonight.
Yes.
You know, public access has been on the air now, what, 20, 25 years?
I don't know.
Something like that. Anyway, they got this beautiful mug here. If Roy can get a close-up here. It says right on there, public access community television. It even has, it lists all the shows that are on. It even has the cow report right there. Cow report. Anyway, you can get this for $5
And
from public access.
Conservative corner, too?
I think, Fred, Conservative Corner's on there somewhere, too. There's all kinds of different shows mentioned, and public access television. They need some money right now for their fundraising that's going on, and for $5 you can get your own mug, and this week only, I'll autograph them right here somewhere on here, and you can keep it as a collector item before we go national. This thing might be worth $5 1/4 someday. Okay, Freddie boy. There's a new deal going on here, Freddie. It's with registering students to vote in high schools.
I see that.
And they did it down at Racine there, Racine. They got 100 new students registered, and they'll be registered. That's 18-year-olds above can register, you know.
Yes.
So there's really a drive on by Rock the Vote and MTV, and of course the teachers would just love to have this because they'll be kind of manipulating these pliable minds just for the November elections, trying to in a roundabout way tell them to vote for Clinton. And so they're just chomping at the bit to get as many high school students registered as they can because they know that that's going to affect the vote this fall. And with this motor voter bill,
Yes.
millions of new voters are coming in, and so it's going to be quite interesting this year to see how many young people vote, because young people have been accused over the last several decades of not voting in this country, Fred.
Yes.
So what do you got there before we take another call?
Oh, well, we got here a Dole GOP weakness jeopardizes House pro-life majority on social issues to conservatives such as school prayer, Dole lacks sincerity, I should say. And he confessed in an interview with Phyllis Schlafly that he did not support her concerns. Dole used the school prayer issue in his campaign for the GOP presidential nomination, but he's yet to bring the school prayer legislation to the floor of the Senate for a vote, although a majority of Americans in poll after poll say they support school prayer.
Well, of course they do, Fred, but the thing is, if they ever get school prayer, we got to watch out that one day it's not a Muslim prayer, the next day it's a communist atheist prayer, and the next day it's a Catholic prayer, and then the next day a Lutheran prayer, and then the next day a
well, if it
Buddhist
be
prayer.
Catholic prayer and a Lutheran prayer, that'll be all right.
It would. How about a
More or
Buddhist?
less,
How about a Buddhist prayer?
I'm not interested in Buddhism.
Well, if you're going to let them one prayer, you got to let them all in, Freddie boy.
Well, let them say it silently then.
You can say the Catholic prayer out loud, but you got to say the Buddhist prayer silently. Is that the deal? Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing? First
Personally, I don't think them guys up there picking on you and whatnot, they don't know what they're talking about. I love the glasses. Freddie, you're awesome. Listen to you every time you're on, all right? Like the mug, I want one. I like the cow mug. Everything. Just perfect.
All right, well, we always like to hear a good report out there, and we'll leave an autograph, one of these mugs for you if you come on down. And of course, Freddie gives tours down here
I don't give any tour, and
Monday through Friday down here at the Cow
I
Studios.
don't give any tours. I'm not here.
Chris and
Most of
Clippy
the time, I
Konamaki.
only come down for your show and my own show.
Roy Rogers Hoff, you can meet the whole crowd. Just come on down and get yourself a mug, and Fred will take you on
I'm
the,
not gonna,
on the $3 tour.
not gonna be here to do it.
What are you packing up for, Fred? We got 5 more minutes.
Well,
Okay, well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate those calls.
No,
And
see you later.
tell all your friends to watch.
Yeah, I do.
All right. Bye. Well, there you go, Fred. I told you we got some people that like us out there. Well, you know, Fred, the Luftwaffe, and you ought to remember the Luftwaffe being out of the World War II era.
yes,
The Luftwaffe is coming to New Mexico.
yes.
They're setting up an Air Force base down there on American ground, American property. There's an American air base that's opened up their arms to the Luftwaffe. The German Air Force is going to be based in New Mexico. They're going to have 66 sophisticated airplanes down there that will be stationed there for training. They'll be trained by American Air Force personnel, plus they'll have their own pilots there for the
Yes.
planes. Now just think what, of course, there's a lot of ex-communists that have been integrated into the Eastern Germany, Western Germany is now united, so it's a united Air
Yes.
Force. Just think, Fred, now we got the Cubans down there with all their bombers and jet fighters for the East Coast to wipe it out. Now we're going to have the Germans, which could be controlled by the communists. They'll be down on the Western coast there to wipe out California and Washington and that area. What do you think about all that?
Well, I wonder if that's going to happen. But one thing I don't like is with the Russian troops and whatnot that they have here.
Yeah, we got Russian troops on
And
several
the
bases
UN
too.
equipment that's in here, what is it in here for?
Well, now they're getting pretty open about it, Fred, when they bring in 66 airplanes from the foreign government, put them on American soil with foreign fighter pilots ready to hop in them and start flying around. What are they going to do? They're either going to blow up Mexico City or Los Angeles. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Hey, I was wondering if you could zoom in on Fred. I want to talk to him.
Yes,
Zoom in.
yes.
That's about as close as you can get. We're a 2-camera outfit here.
Oh, really? That's bad. Fred, when is your show on?
We're on in the latter part of the month, in the last week of the month at night, and it's 5 o'clock.
Can we dial in and talk to you?
Yes, you can.
Who are you going to have on this week anyway, Fred?
I don't know yet.
We have North students on.
Who?
North students, they got plenty of free time.
Yeah, you ought to have a daytime show, Fred. You can get plenty of students on.
I got.
All come out, down all hammered and stuff. We'll come on the show with you.
Mm-hmm. Are you a North student?
I used to be.
What are you doing now?
Working.
All right.
And it's fun. I still get hammered as much as I did when I went to school.
Huh.
I didn't go to much school.
Yeah?
You don't need to, though.
Did you graduate?
Hell yeah. You don't need to do homework. You just got to pass the test. So when they tell you you got 2 hours detention, you don't go.
I mean, I suppose they don't have any. I suppose the people that are in charge of detention are out playing golf, so they don't even know if you're there or not.
Yeah, and, you know, if not there, what are they going to do?
Huh. Okay, well, thanks a lot. We got time for one more call. The next lucky caller better get on there and dial that number right now. Okay, Freddie, once conquered diseases are on the upswing, group warns. Infectious diseases are all over the world, Fred, are on the upswing.
Yes.
Diseases like polio and dengue fever, malaria and tuberculosis and AIDS. Infectious diseases kill 16.5 million people in '93, Fred.
Yes.
Worldwide. Things like tuberculosis are really coming back with a vengeance. We might have to set up sanitariums again here in this country. Okay, go ahead, caller. You're the last call of the night.
All right. Hey, slamming a lot of people tonight. That's not too good, you know.
Well, that's what you got to do on live TV. You got to keep things stirred up and to get the people off their rear ends and start thinking positively.
Yeah, but
for the good of all the people in Eau Claire.
Doesn't sound like there's too many good things going on in Eau Claire, though.
I know, that's why we do what we do here. Yeah. Somebody has to do it. That's why we've been on for now, what, 20, 25 years, Fred?
No.
Something like that? Well, we want to thank you for tuning in. This has been the Cow Report, and I've been your host, Chuck Lee, and with me, as always, has been my rusty, trusty sidekick, Fred the True Stafford. And boy, oh boy, did we have a lot to talk about tonight. We'll see you right here again on the program 2 weeks from tonight. Adios, amigos.
Arrivederci.
And thanks, Lorraine, for being a guest tonight.
Bye now.
Good night.